Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. And in the last episode, guys, we almost lost a member of our crew to dragon fever. We were able to locate the fraction drive, but others were able to locate it as well. And things got tense, and Eugen showed a part of his personality that we hadn't really seen before. One driven and obsessive and ruthless as well. Now, it didn't work out for Eugen, or Sleeper for that matter. We were able to get out of there. Eugen got wounded. But the important thing is, we got out of there, we did not get the drive, and Eugen's, I guess, gonna have to move on with his life because his white whale is no longer available to him. If we look here on the drive for Find a Fraction ship, it says, let the dust settle. Will Eugen stay with the crew? Will he move on? Will he stay? I'm not sure. I guess we're gonna have to wait. But for right now, we've got other problems. We head out into the shoals, the thick debris field that surrounds Olivera. What's happening in here, Sleeper? Bliss pokes their head into the cockpit as Seraphin brings the ship in towards the signal coordinates Xander gave him. You look around the cockpit. Xander's tapping at the co-pilot console mounted in front of his seat in a haphazard way, while Cadence is asking Seraphin about how the rig works. Surprisingly, Seraphin is responding with patience and care. They'll help us find Karman. If you say so. Bliss looks over at Seraphin and Cadence. Is Seraphin smiling? They shake their head. Something is going on. Bliss turns back to you. Junie is working on the ship's wiring and won't respond to my messages. She's probably in the walls somewhere, hooked up to the main line. They smile a weak smile. I'm here. So how about you tell me what we're doing out in the middle of nowhere? Quiet. Seraphin's voice cuts through the chatter. Is that... He gestures out into the debris field at the sparking, ragged-looking shape tucked beside a rock. Xander rushes to the cockpit glass. Karman. A moment of tense silence grips the room. That's his ship. You and Bliss exchange concerned glances. This isn't good. I'll bring her in. Seraphin's eyes are fixed on the wreck of the crumpled ship now. We don't know anything yet, so everyone calm down. Xander is silent, his face pressed against the glass. Cadence stares out at the wreck, her cheeks pale. No one speaks until the rig is brought to a stop. All right, now, we're going out there and we'll have a poke around. Seraphin looks between Cadence and Xander. We verify the ship and we recover the crew. Seraphin gives you and Bliss a nod and you both push off and glide toward the back of the cockpit. Suddenly, Xander pushes off from the window and glides with you out of the cockpit. I'm coming too. You need someone to identify the ship, He stops and takes a breath. Are you sure? I'm sure. Xander gets the words out, then pushes on ahead toward the airlock. You follow behind, ready to suit up and investigate the wreck. Oh, okay, Xander's here with us. Xander has engineering and endurance. And we got Bliss with engineering and intuition. So thankfully, I've upgraded our programming. As long as we don't have to deal with engage, we should be okay. Relatively speaking. Search the ship. The simplest way to if you want to have any hope of recovering Karman and Flint, dead or alive, you'll need to start at the wreck and work your way out. The simplest way to find out what happened is a full search of the gutted ship, but that's no easy task when part of it has been blasted to debris. Reconstruct events. A crippled ship, holes torn in its hull, and a missing crew. With some thought and careful assessment, perhaps this wreck tells a story. Yes, indeed. Well, the good news is we have some definite strong points here, so let's search the ship. The search reveals railgun slugs embedded in the interior structure of the ship. Who did this? Maybe some intuition now? On closer inspection, it seemed the ship's drive is totally burnt out. The ship was running from something. Indeed. Well, let's have Sleeper go ahead and use as much of their dice as possible. Yeah. Some stress. Razor sharp debris makes it hard to wade through the ship without getting shredded. Wreck assessment. And push. And a little bit more. Cool. Well, Bliss has a lot of endurance, so let's go ahead and utilize some. I don't necessarily know about Xander. Xander seems pretty fragile. There we go. I like it. Good job, Bliss. We'll try this once, Xander. Cool. And... okay, it was risky, but we're almost done with that. Nowhere else to go. Ooh, there's some good dice. Oh, good lord. Folks, what are we doing? Well, let's go ahead and at least get this done. Good, good, good. You have a sense of what happened here. It's time for a difficult conversation. The search of Karman's gutted ship has impacted the mood in the rig. As more and more evidence of an attack has appeared, the quieter Xander has got and the more Cadence has retreated into the bunks. Now, with the search complete, you're gathered in the cockpit to discuss what's been found. Come on. Cadence floats by the door, hugging herself against the cold. Tell us already. Xander is perched on the back of one of the seats, flicking at some hinged container he found in the wreck. Open and closed. Open and closed. Let's explain carefully. You start by summarizing the search, talking about the details, picking your language carefully. You describe the damage to the ship, but not the attack. You talk about the occupants of the ship without mentioning what might have happened to them. Seraphin quickly cuts in. What Sleeper is saying, gives you a look, is the ship was hit with weapons fire. Badly. Then the drive was fired up and they attempted to flee. The drive burned out and the ship, after hitting multiple rocks and bits of debris, came to a halt here. He takes a breath. We found no bodies. At the mention of the word bodies, a shudder runs through those assembled. Then they're here, somewhere. Xander has a steely look in his eyes. And we find them, whatever state they're in. He looks at Cadence. She nods back at him. Xander's right. We aren't leaving them out here. Karman made Oliveira what it is. He saved us. We won't come back without him. She shivers and looks at Xander. He would do the same for us. Based on the damage of the ship, Seraphin begins. They're almost certainly dead, we get it. Xander cuts him off. But there are debris trails leading away from the ship. I've seen them. There are... Seraphin holds his hands out in a calming manner. But those could be from secondary explosions, or depressurization. We picked the wrong trail and it could lead us in circles, cycle after cycle. Then we better pick the right one. Cadence has Xander's steely look now too. She stares directly at Seraphin, challenging him to answer back. He sighs. Then that's what we'll do. He looks at you with resignation. Whatever happened here, you won't be leaving until you see its end. New location discovered. Debris trail, debris trail, debris trail. Sunward trail. One of 3 possible trails. It's impossible to know which is the right one without exploring them further. Rimward trail. One of 3 possible trails. It's okay. And then the other one is Starward trail. Let's go ahead and start this one. Let's see what we can get. Scanning and mapping the debris from the ship will help you safely figure out where it might lead, but it's painstaking work. Yeah, it is, but fortunately we can get supplies back if we need them. Like, it's not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, there's one. I'm actually curious. There's only so much you can see from scans. Sometimes you have to explore the debris and pick up the trail from its patterns. Piece by piece, a picture starts to take shape, not just of an attack, but of a rapid retreat. Among the blasted debris, there are tools and supplies completely untouched. Who dropped these? Ooh, this might be the right locale. So we push. The story the debris tells is clear. New location discovered? Oh, asteroid caves. That makes sense. I didn't even notice that. I guess we did go the right way, though. The trail leads to these barren and airless caves. It's hard to imagine someone surviving in here for long. I'll take it, though. Let's go ahead and end the cycle. Also, with intuition, if Bliss has high enough dice, she could also, or they could also farm for supplies. Let's see, what do we got? More enduring and more intuition. And all of these are dangerous. Forget the trail. If the caves are searched comprehensively, then anyone in here will be found. Or follow the trail. Let us go ahead and... we'll have Xander for 2. The structure of the caves is becoming more obvious as there are smaller passages that might have made the perfect safe haven. A bit of luck and some careful exploration means good progress. They are close. Okay, well there we got our confirmation like right there, didn't we? Let's keep it going. A little bit of stress. And I'm going to go ahead and risk so we can get a 5. Cool. And that's such a good, I love it so much. It's so satisfying. And if we hurry, Bliss may go ahead and finish this up. Hey, there's a light in the dark, flickering, fading. When the Starward trail led to the caves, a little hope was kindled in the hearts of the crew. But after plumbing the depths of these dark passages, that hope seemed snuffed out. Xander struggled on in silence, only speaking to update Cadence on the lack of news via the cockpit comms link. But he speaks now, quietly at first, and then with increasing urgency. "A light, sleeper! I see a light!" And with that, he kicks off hard from the wall and darts down a dark tunnel with reckless speed. You follow, but the tunnels are winding, and you quickly lose Xander around a corner. You kick off from the same wall, trying to close the gap, but when you come around that same corner, you can't find Xander anywhere. Then you see it. Through a thin slit in the cave wall, a flickering, fading light. You cross over to it and see scratches and chunks scraped out of the rock. Someone has dragged something through here. Contact Xander or push through? Let's push through. You push away some of the floating rock and squeeze yourself into the gap. As you do, you watch the light pulsing inside the cave, setting the cracks and shapes of the rock in sharp relief. You search those shadows for something recognizable, but the light source remains out of sight. And then you're through. You steady yourself against the wall and look toward the light. There, beside a fading emergency lamp, floats a body. Its head instantly striking you as strange and misshapen. You know immediately this must be Karman. His head is shrouded in an emergency helmet, inflated around him like a balloon, while an oxygen canister floats nearby, attached by a tube. His eyes are closed, his body still. You try to settle your gaze on his chest to see the telltale rise and fall. And then the light catches something else. Something broken and skeletal nearby. A face with bright eyes. Bright eyes watching you. A sleeper. Another sleeper. They watch you with lit irises, ones just like yours. Their torn face reveals no emotion. They pose crouched, coiled even, like a spring ready to strike. That's why they made a big deal about seeing us and then asking about Flint. A quiet and desperate sleeper, that looks terrifying. You're both frozen, unsure, afraid. Nothing moves. Your eyes trace the damage to their suit, to their body. They look broken, worn down, and you wonder if this is how you look to others. If they flinch when they see you, as you feel the need to now. Karman! Xander's panicked voice cuts through the silence. He rushes forward to the floating body, and as he does, the other sleeper pulls away from the wall, like a statue coming to life. For a moment, you go to intervene, to save Xander from this skeletal figure, but the sleeper falls on Xander to embrace him, and Xander returns the hug. You float, stunned, watching as Xander begins to carry Karman's body from the cave with Flint, the sleeper, guiding him. Karman is stable. Cadence comes out from the room that's become a makeshift medbay. She looks between you and Seraphin. Thanks to you. And Flint? Cadence pauses, choosing her answer carefully. Flint is in there with Karman. They seem to be functional. She looks away. If that's what you mean? We should head back to Olivera. Seraphin cuts in. He places a hand on your shoulder and steers you away, toward the cockpit. Once you're out of earshot, Seraphin turns to you. Did you know Flint was a sleeper? No. Seraphin nods. I don't want to be suspicious. I was just surprised, that's all. Seraphin glances back toward the medbay. They look different. What do you mean? I don't know. Just something I wish they'd mentioned. I'll go get her started up. He pats you on the shoulder and heads to the cockpit. Let's just keep an eye on them, okay? He leaves you floating in the corridor, unsure what to think. Flynn is the first sleeper you've met since you escaped the program, and at this point, those memories are little more than fragments and fictions. As the rumble of the drive runs through the ship, you can't help but feel a little concerned for what this might mean. Are we done here? I think we are done here. Okay, well, if that is the case, you can now travel back to the hub. Once you leave, you will not be able to return. Yes, let's go. Eugen finds you in a quiet corner of the rig. I want to say something. He has been uncharacteristically quiet since your journey to the Aphelion Path's resting place, and even now, there's a seriousness to him you do not recognize. I need to thank you. His eyes look dark, and it's clear he hasn't been sleeping. I appreciate what you did on that rock. You pulled me back from something I wouldn't have come back from on my own. That drive, that ship, I want to say they possessed me and drove me to it. He looks away, but that would be an excuse. I was the one who chose to pursue them at all costs. He frowns. The blame lies with me. You're right. It is on you. He nods. I'm not trying to hide from it. The way you treat me, it makes me believe something. His brow knits, his own words irritating him. But I'm not sure what that is. I'm not much of a believer. Eugen looks down. You can see he's fighting with himself. This crew, this ship. Eugen pauses, choosing his words. I put it at risk. I will not make that mistake again. He meets your eye. That's what I wanted to say. As Eugen explains, you see a little weight rise off of his shoulders. He stands a little taller, some of his swagger returning. You don't know the extent of his past. His actions have only been hinted at, but something in this belief in the future he's just professed endears you to him. He takes a deep breath. I don't like to owe people. He pats you on the shoulder. But for you, I'll make an exception. And with that, he nods and turns away, gliding back through the ship and out of sight. As you watch him go, you think of Vesna, of the singers, of Conway, of everything that swirled around that fraction drive like a storm. There's something dark and dangerous in an object like that, one that subsumes lives into itself, one whose gravitational pull is strong and often terminal. Eugen has, with your help, wrestled himself free of that pull, and you are glad of it. But you both have paid a cost, one that neither of you is likely to forget. Ooh, drive failed. You're left alone with Xander and Seraphim in the docks while Karman is carefully carried from the rig by Flint, guided away into one of Oliveira's many tunnels and passages. Okay, I believe you. Xander shrugs his shoulders. Seraphim raises an eyebrow. Believe us how? That you aren't saboteurs. He shoots you a sheepish grin. Although, you never know. I appreciate that. No problem. He nods to you with the kind of seriousness that only children possess. Tell me, kid. Seraphim folds his arms. Why are you so protective of this place? I mean, no offense, but who'd want to sabotage a tin pot colony in the middle of the shoals? Xander bristles at the comment, but controls his anger. You don't get it. Oliveira's a refuge. Why do you think we're hiding all the way out here? He glances at you and then back at Seraphim. I would have thought you'd understand what's at stake here. You've seen Flint. Seraphim pauses, unsure of how to respond. He looks embarrassed into silence. Look, Xander says, playing the peacemaker. You brought Karman back to us. Everyone in Oliveira will thank you for that. How about you stick around for a bit? Get a feel for the place. If you need to resupply, we can help. We haven't got much, but if you chip in, you'll get your share. He bows his head a little. We're more welcoming than we appear. Just don't expect to buy anything with those chits of yours. Xander puts his hands on his hips. Oliveira is not for sale. Seraphin shrugs. Alright, kid, He glances at you. We appreciate it. We need to hang around until Karman is back up and awake anyway, and I think we'll be glad of the rest. I'll see you around then. Xander touches his brow in a salute and then kicks away, floating out of the docks. Seraphin turns to you. A little shore leave doesn't sound so bad. Are we safe here? Seraphin shrugs. As safe as anyone on the belt, I guess. Or anywhere on the belt. He looks around. Hey, maybe even safer if Xander's gonna chase any visitors off with a welder? He winks and glides away, into Olivera proper. You're left floating in the docks, unsure of what comes next. It doesn't seem like Lane's gonna find you out here, so maybe this is a perfect time to take a breather. At least until you can bring on Kita's drive to Karman. You turn that little thumbnail drive over in your pocket. Time to see what Olivera has to offer. Ooh, quite a few things. Look at that. Okay, so we got the rig here. Scrap silos for wreck processing. Component hunt. The Olivera scrappers are happy for you to search the scrap silos for components for your own use, but they won't be easy to find. The Olivera Clinic. Karman is in recovery and Olivera will have to navigate a coming crisis without his steady hand. As you leave the rig, you find a figure waiting for you in the docking tunnel. You think of Xander's hostile greeting when you first arrived. Is that him again? Where are you headed? Flint leans away from the wall, now out of the battered suit you first saw them in. The damage to their frame is concealed beneath their overalls, but you're still aware of it, just beneath the surface. Farm stacks. Same. Flint nods in the direction of the colony. I'll join you. You float together through the docks in silence. Flint makes you nervous, and their insistence on intercepting you this cycle hasn't exactly calmed that sensation. Breaking the silence eventually becomes unavoidable. Why Flint? Flint stares ahead, continuing their glide. Ask Karman. He insisted on it. The mention of Karman's name recalls the image of him floating unconscious in the light of your work lamps in those deep and winding caves. You suppress a shudder. Flint gives you a sideways look, their mask-like face betraying no emotion. It's good you found us. They pause as you both move through a doorway. Could have been sooner. They blink. But better than nothing. Looking at Flint gives you an unsettling feeling, like catching your own reflection in a polished whole plate. Is this what others feel like when they speak with you? Watching the crooked mask, the lit irises for signs of human emotion? Interpreting the stuttering emulations of facial expressions as they cross your doll-like face? Flint turns away again, and you realize that they might feel the same looking at you. Each the other's mirror. Each reminding the other of the gap between being and being seen. What happened out there? Flint pauses. I made a mistake, one I won't make again. They frown and stare forward, offering nothing more. You arrive together at the winding entryway to the farm stacks, the gulping pulse of irrigation pipes humming in the walls. So, Sleeper. Flint's face curls in amusement as he uses the mononym everyone refers to you by. Olivera asked that all those at Harbors to contribute to the colony. Show me what you can do. Farm the stacks. You and Flint join the farmers in the operations bay of the stacks, listening in on the shift's opening huddle. Jobs are assigned, yields discussed, and repairs prioritized. You go to work with the others, clambering into the guts of one of the stacks to repair an irrigation pipe, then join in another team running a chemical analysis of the crop. The stacks pulse around you, feeding their crop of kelp, algae, tubers, leaves, and roots. As they do, you find yourself borne away on the rhythm of work. But while you work, you also feel tiny points of friction with the other workers. Glances and mistakes, pauses and hesitations that leave you feeling marked out somehow. You take a moment to rest, staring up at the green glow of the stacks. Something makes you look to one side, a glint that catches your eye, and there's Flint, taking a rest of their own. You see a glint again, Flint turning something over in their fingers, watching it spin. A vial of stabilizer. My last vial. Flint speaks without taking their eyes off the drug. Even through the haze of your lost memories, you can recall the fizzing, sickening pulse of that injection. The dependence your reboot freed you from. Saving it for a special occasion. Flint pockets the vial and meets your eye. You don't need a stabilizer, do you? Flint moves away from the wall they were resting against. I noticed you were different from the first moment we met, but I didn't realize what it was until now. The way you work, the way you move, without dependence. I see it now. Flint folds their arms. Tell them about the reboot. You tell them about the process you and Seraphin attempted on Darkseid, the one that Lane interrupted. They listen absent-mindedly, watching the workers instead of you. That's not all, though, is it? Flint meets your eye. There's something wrong with you. More than just your decaying frame, your signal, your presence. It smells different. I'm changing. Flint looks you up and down. I can see that, but I wonder what you're changing into. I know who I am, what I bring to this place. All these people are at risk because of me. They look out at the workers. That means you too are a risk to your crew, to me, and more importantly, to this place. Olivera will welcome you, just as it welcomed me. Flint stretches. And it will do so in spite of itself and its own safety. I want you to know that, because they will pay the cost, those close to you, and you must know that they pay it for you. And with that, Flint turns and glides away, leaving no space for a response. You watch them leave, their billowing cloak revealing and concealing the glinting and ragged parts of their exposed skeleton as they go. Well, that was not as bad as it could have been. Interesting. You have kind of a kindred spirit, but one who seems much more cynical. Probably because they still have all their memories. Or at least some of them, at least more than our sleeper. But alright guys, we will continue exploring Olivera and waiting for Karman to wake up, and we'll see what happens in the next episode. Hope you all have enjoyed it. If you liked the episode, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.